The Chuck Schumer problem is just getting worse and worse. And while last week it seemed like the Democratic Party was pulling itself together, because of Chuck and co., it seems like they're falling apart again. Because the Senate, they passed the funding bill last night thanks to 7 Democrats and an independent who caved and joined Republicans, teeing up for the House to vote on it no sooner than tomorrow.
The ayes are 60, the nays are 40. The bill as amended is passed.
And it's really hard to express how much of a letdown this has been for so much of the party. Because again, just last Tuesday, you had progressives and moderates seemingly united. Everyone was excited, some describing it as the most hopeful moment the Democrats have had since Kamala took the reins from Joe Biden last year. Right, there was that initial, oh my God, is this change energy? And then it kind of just deflated. Right, and the person who's gonna suffer most in this situation isn't actually one of the millions of people whose health insurance premiums are about to spike thanks to Republicans, but John Stewart, whose brain simply broke last night.
I can't believe it. You cannot believe it. I cannot believe it.
Right, and while there's broad agreement that the 8 from the Dem caucus who joined Republicans are chiefly to blame here, you had Stewart and other late night hosts really taking aim at the man they believe let it all happen.
We will not give up this fight.
But that's what you're doing. You're giving up the fight. You can't wave a white flag in one hand that says, I give up, while in the other hand waving a smaller white flag that says, until next time.
I mean, it is incredible at his age that Chuck Schumer is still able to bend over so far.
Either all 8 senators who voted to capitulate coincidentally are not up for re-election in 2026, or Chuck Schumer worked behind the scenes to give into the Republicans while still protecting vulnerable Democrats, including himself.
And the point that Stewart made last night is pretty much the one that I made that afternoon, right? Stupid or evil? The sneaky puppeteer or the useful idiot? Right, and with all this, you've had others chiming in. For example, Representative Ro Khanna telling CBS News.
This deal would never have happened if he had not blessed it. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of other senators who are saying that they kept Senator Schumer in the loop the whole time.
And even had the Pod Save America guys expressing similar skepticism.
He voted against the bill, sure, but I think he orchestrated it with senators he knew were going to retire who weren't up. And I don't believe this spin for a second.
So that is, you also had some sources speaking to Axios and CNN saying that Schumer really was trying to keep the shutdown going behind the scenes. With that, saying that as early as 2 weeks into the shutdown, there was a group of moderates ready to reopen, and saying that Schumer actually convinced them to hold on to at least November when open enrollment into the ACA began. And that, as they claimed that he was strategizing with progressives like Bernie Sanders about how to keep the momentum up and the base to keep fighting. So you had people like Chris Murphy saying Senator Schumer didn't want this to be the outcome and press hard for it not to end like this, though adding he didn't succeed. Let's not sugarcoat that. But again, understand, much more are fed up with Schumer's leadership. I mean, you had numerous Democratic lawmakers and grassroots organizations calling on him to step down. Right? Yeah, you had Ro Khanna, but he's also been joined by several House Democrats and now even some challengers in Senate primaries.
This happened because Chuck Schumer failed in his job yet again. Call your senators and tell them that Chuck Schumer can no longer be leader.
The old way of doing things is not working. We need new leaders in the Senate.
Do you think that Chuck Schumer is in control of the Senate Democratic caucus?
No.
Do you think that Chuck Schumer should step aside now and let someone else lead Democrats in the Senate?
I think it would be better. I think it'd be better than the status quo. And I hear this from Democrats all across Massachusetts.
Is Senator Markey part of the problem?
Well, he is, as long as he supports Senator Schumer.
Now, fortunately, at least for Schumer, none of the members of his caucus have joined this chorus, but I will say it is growing. You've got a half dozen Senate Democratic sources telling CNN that frustrations are mounting privately in the chamber that Schumer and his leadership team lacked a long-term plan to secure real concessions from the GOP, and that the party ultimately ended up without a tangible legislative win. And with that, adding that there is growing chatter about what it means for his future after the 2026 midterms and if he chooses to run again in 2028. Now, as far as House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, he supported Schumer, which is notable because Jeffries openly criticized him for refusing to shut down the government back in March.
Listen, Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats over the last 7 weeks have waged a valiant fight. And I'm not going to explain what a handful of Senate Democrats have decided to do. That's their explanation.
Right, and then as far as Schumer himself, he understandably is trying to refocus attention on Trump and the Republicans right now, arguing that even with the shutdown over, they're going to own the looming healthcare crisis.
Americans will remember Republican intransigence every time they make a sky-high payment on health insurance. Healthcare costs made a major impact on the 2025 election, and they will certainly have an even greater impact on the 2026 election.
And he may end up being right there. Trump's approval ratings are in the toilet. Polls show that most people blamed Republicans for the shutdown. But also, Trump's apparently trying to wrestle back control over the healthcare narrative by announcing his very own vague, very mysterious healthcare plan.
We want a healthcare system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time.
But for now, we're gonna have to wait to see how all this plays out. And I mean that as far as the real world impact, as well as the political wins and losses. Right? I mean, Trump, he's had a healthcare plan that he'll deliver in 2 weeks for I don't know how many years now. And so we'll have to see if he tries to jam something through or at least use it to distract from what happens in December. Because apparently the Republicans pinky promised the Dems that they'll definitely, they'll vote on the ACA subsidies. And then depending on what happens or doesn't happen there, we'll start seeing more and more real world impacts in January. All of which will, one, impact millions of Americans in their real lives, and two, possibly affect the midterms.